Okay, Earth Explorers, we're going to be going live here in just about 1 minute. Waiting for the affiliates to load up. All right, all of our affiliates have loaded up. Let's go ahead and bring the studio in. And here we go.
The world is at, and I am your host on The Tipping Point on Revolution Radio, where every Monday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, we bring you the latest in the ensuing takedown of this global criminal empire. That's an image of strength. You'll get the raw, hard truth here on The Tipping Point. So come join us Mondays, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern in Studio B at revolution.radio.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
See how the trouble you've started?
Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio.
Here we go, hour one. And greetings, Earth Explorers. Welcome to X Squared Radio, where the past meets the future. In here, the results are always positive. Greetings, Earth Explorers. Let me make sure. Why is this happening? I got a little bit of an echo. Hold on a second. The results are always positive. Okay, now we're good. Yeah, now we're good. All the sound is now good. We're all 5x5. So welcome to X Squared Radio, Earth Explorers. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew, coming to you live from an undisclosed location east of the Appalachian Mountains. This is where the past meets the future. In here, the results are always positive. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear. You will be safely traveling with us. Just to give you a quick update, Inspiration 4 is 2 minutes 50 seconds to launch. I'm watching it here. You're watching it there. So I'll let you enjoy the launch with me, and then we'll get started with tonight's program. The interesting thing about this, Inspiration 4 mission is going to launch in just a little over 2 minutes. The mission will send 4 civilian astronauts into orbit for 3 days aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule that's equipped with a special cupola window. No screen door, just the window. And they'll be able to peer through to see planet Earth because history in space is about to happen. Here's a brief synopsis. The launching on this mission will be Commander Jared Isaacman, a tech billionaire who founded Shift 4 Payments. Isaacman chartered the SpaceX Crew Dragon flight that will bring the crew to orbit and return them safely home. 1 minute, 45 seconds from now. Cian Proctor, who is a geoscientist, science communicator, professor, and Afrofuturism space artist whose inspirational video and art propelled her to a seat in space. Haley Arsenault is a physician assistant at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and a childhood cancer survivor who's helping the mission raise money and awareness for the hospital. And Chris Sembrowski is an Air Force veteran, a data engineer, and a former space camp counselor. The 4 civilians launching on the site have paid a final trip to their Falcon 9 rocket and the Crew Dragon Resilience and the ship that will be their home in space during the 3-day mission. That's a pretty, tiny craft to be floating around there. 50 seconds to go. SpaceX's Inspiration 4 mission, the world's first private all-civilian space flight, is now 1 week. Well, it's now happening in about 30 seconds. The mission was financed by Shift 4 entrepreneur and billionaire Jared Isaacman. He paid for the entire thing out of his pocket, and they will be taking off in 25 seconds. So if you're watching it on YouTube, SpaceX Live, you can watch it right now. 142,958 people are watching now, and we are now at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And ignition. Wow. And the big elevator's falling away, and we have liftoff. And we're crossing our fingers, because in about 2 minutes, this thing is going to be out of here. The boosters all fired right on cue. It's a nighttime launch. I probably could step outside and watch it. No, it's all the way down. It's too far away. I'm watching it. It's up through the clouds, and it is really amazing to watch. The speed of this thing, the acceleration of this thing is unbelievable. I hope none of these astronauts have to pee. This is a lot of G's they're taking right now. Yeah, this is cool. They have the numbers down in the lower left. The speed this thing is already at 1,000. That's pretty quick. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, this is very cool. A little over 1 minute. And everything is working just perfectly. I don't know if I can turn the audio on where you can hear it. You could tell me in the chat room, right? Can you?
Throttle back up and 1 Bravo, the call out from space. That's one of the abort sequences. That is a nominal call. Everything continues to be good.
I don't know if you can hear that or not. Can you hear that?
Looks like a smooth ride for the crew.
Wow. They're now throttling to full speed. Wow. This is a whole lot of rocket power.
Okay, we heard the call out. Agnew is chilling. We're beginning to get the turbo pump ready on the second stage engine for ignition. We're passing through 3 G's acceleration. Everything continues to look nominal.
Awesome. Already to 50 kilometers high. Here goes the second stage.
Merlin engines are throttling down for G limiting. 4 G's, we're holding it there for the crew.
4 G's. Because they're civilians, they don't want to smash their brains.
Cut off, followed by stage separation, looking at the second stage engine nozzle, and then ignition of the second stage.
All right, excellent. Well, you're going to get to hear it anyway. It's pretty cool. There goes the second stage falling away, and the ignition is there. Second stage has lit off. Wow. Now you know what a little boy's face looks like when he gets to watch a space launch. And by the way, the booster is on its way back to Earth. It's going to land.
Officially, the Inspiration 4 crew are now on their way to space.
122 kilometers high.
The left-hand side of your screen is making its way back down to Earth. The grid fins have popped out to steering. It will be making a landing attempt on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, which is parked out and holding position in the
146,000 people watching this launch.
Yeah, so we have a
No,
couple
you're
of
not
views on
nuts.
the screen.
Mark Hovsepian says, okay, I'm not nuts
As Kate mentioned,
then.
the left-hand side is a view from the top of our first stage looking down. That has already separated from the second stage. And
Yeah,
it's making
this is
its
very
way
cool.
back to Earth. The velocity of the first stage.
SpaceX trajectory.
Oh, you're at T plus 7 minutes? Well, that's no fair. You're 3 minutes in
On
the
the right-hand
future,
side of your screen.
Hair Razor.
Is a view of our
So I
second
guess
stage
nothing bad
Rowan
happens.
vacuum
Okay.
engine.
Okay,
On
good.
The opposite end of that engine is
All right, I'll kill the sound to that, and we'll carry on with our program. I want to start tonight by talking about the tax weapon that has just been deployed by Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals. You know, his original plan was to increase the corporate tax rate to 28%, up from 21%, which had been cut down to by President Donald Trump in order to stimulate business growth, which it did. The figure has been revised slightly lower to 26.5%. The proposed rate, by the way, is higher than Communist China's corporate tax rate. For perspective, and would reportedly be the largest tax increase since 1968 compared to the size of the economy, and the largest tax increase ever in nominal dollars. And this tax increase, of course, is not on corporations. That is a big fat lie. It all is going to be passed along to you. You're the one that's going to pay the tax. It's going to result in higher prices, fewer jobs, lower wages, and this will give the U.S. a combined state and federal tax rate of 30.9%. Roughly a third of everything you work for is going right back to the government. And I think, for one, it is outrageous. Studies from a variety of sources have shown how increased corporate taxes directly fall onto wage earners. That's you, and it's me. I work for wages as well. Corporations never pay taxes. You should know that. We are the ones that pay them. So yesterday, the Joint Committee on Taxation confirmed that corporate tax hikes decrease workers' wages. Literature suggests that 25% of the burden of the corporate tax may be borne by labor in terms of diminished wage growth. Representative Mike Kelly, who's a Republican from Pennsylvania, wanted to clarify himself once more, asking who is going to bear the brunt of this corporate income tax hike. It's labor. It's laborers. It's people like you and me, not corporations. That's a big lie. And it's been a very effective weapon, and it is aimed directly at the middle class. And, of course, it's going to affect the working poor as well, because they're going to pay higher prices and they're going to have less jobs available. You will be a consumer that pays the higher price to pay the taxes. The rich don't look at the price of anything. The middle class must have food, we must have gas, and we must have basic commodities. The rich will simply pay 7% for those same items and never bat an eye. Americans for Tax Reform even cited the Marxist Tax Policy Center, which found that 20% of the burden of the corporate income tax is borne by labor. The advocacy group argued that raising the corporate income tax rate will hit Americans with higher utility bills as the country tries to recover from the pandemic, among other drawbacks. Increases to everyday cost. By the way, the landing rocket has now fired on the booster, and I love this camera right on the side of the rocket. It's just showing the blast as it's slowing this rocket down as it heads heads for the ground. Pretty cool. Increases to everyday costs will ultimately fly in the face of Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals. Their promise, again, not to tax any Americans making under $400,000. But it seems like only the people making less than $400,000 are going to be paying this tax. The proposal of corporate tax hikes has met criticism from both sides of the aisle, like they are trying to stop it. Neither side of the aisle is trying to stop it. And back when Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals was still aiming for 28%, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals' effort was lacking urgency. That is not nearly enough, she said. Of course, she did wear her dress to the $30,000 gala last night that said "Tax the Rich" right across her ass. The top Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee, Representative Kevin Brady, he's a Republican from Texas, also condemned the plan due to the United States remaining in an economic crisis. No president in history has ever raised taxes to recover from an economic crisis. It couldn't come at a worse time. It's like kicking people when they're down, stomping their face into the curb. And Ann Wagner, who's a Republican from Missouri, agreed. She said, why? As this country begins to reopen and recover economically, would Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals administration be proposing tax policy which would in the end hurt American families and millions of struggling small businesses? And of course, Ditch Mitch from Kentucky said March 16th that Republicans would not support tax increases to pay for infrastructure, but they did. Congressional committees are hurrying to finish drafting their spending bill because they're not worried about cutting spending at all. And they're aiming to have it up for a House vote in just a couple of weeks. For the record, Mitch McConnell must be voted out of office for good. And remember, Ted Cruz cannot carry all the water. Something must be done to stop the systematic and relentless attack on the middle class. And this has been going on for a long time. In fact, I think back, everything that happened since 1928. Yes, you had the crash of the stock market, but did that really hit the middle class? In a way, it panicked them. It collapsed the money supply. But it was when Roosevelt became president in 1932 and actually took the oath in 1933, he began in earnest. The first order of business of Roosevelt financially was to smash the bond market. Now, the bond market being smashed, that's what destroyed the country. That's what destroyed the economy around the world. And that was totally led by the fascists who had infiltrated and were steadily infiltrating our federal government. Yeah. They are, exactly. Markov Sepian says they're laughing in our faces. Yeah, and you're right. I misspoke. It's a $35,000 a plate gala. I don't know if she actually ate anything because, well, you can already tell in a couple of years that ass has spread quite a bit. That dress had to be made a little bit bigger for Miss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she been eating good. She been eating really good. While she smiles in your face and stabs you in the back. All right, I'm going to stop the YouTube feed and get to where I'm watching my good friends on Foxhole. Good. Glad everything's 5x5. You know what I'm going to do on Foxhole? I'm going to go ahead and start the scratch-offs right now. And that way you guys can just cash in during the entire program. That's a good idea. Lots of people live right now on Foxhole. I mean, there's such good programming out there. But Patriot News and me are right at the top. Then True Reporting, Brad CGZ, quite frankly, Patriot Hour, and Magical Trevor and PSB are live. So we should be doing pretty good on Foxhole. We're going to draw a big crowd tonight. Big crowd. We are streaming live on 6 different platforms. DLive, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, Foxhole, and Twitch. So all of that is streaming 5x5. But right now, what we're going to have to do, because things are what they are, you people that are listening on YouTube and all got the notifications, I apologize in advance. You're going to have to make the switch to one of the other free speech platforms that I just mentioned, either Facebook or Twitch or DLive or Twitter or Foxhole, because we are going to have to say bye-bye to YouTube, because Google consistently violates our civil rights, and we are not going to let them carry our live programming when we get into the free speech area, which is right now. Now, well, all you have to do, don't panic if you're on YouTube. Look down. Look right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's it, in the description. See that? All the links to all the other platforms are right there. All you have to do is click one of those and say, with me, say it all together now, bye-bye, YouTube. We'll see you on Sunday.